The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, the ace that runs the place, Sam Tate. And his tag team partner, Raw is Warren.
We're back after a 1 week hiatus because there was just absolutely too much wrestling. There was so much that happened. I also was busy with the Oceanic Regional License exam for the Universes card game. I was working that event, so I was awake at weird Australian hours all throughout the weekend. It was an absolute blast, but not exactly the kind of thing that you can just turn around and, watch fucking, 10 hours of WrestleMania now? Plus, I wanted to watch Super Card of Honor and... so much happening. But we are back this week. I, of course, am Sam Tate, joined by my wonderful friend, Warren Sprague. And Warren, there is too much to talk about.
Yes, literally. Our wrestling brains are overflowing after literally a whole week of fantastic content to take down. We have some new developments on Dynamite we would normally want to discuss, but we really have so much to recap. So, yikes, let's go.
Yeah, so I watched Super Card of Honor, and I gotta say, overall, the show was pretty mid. It was not the... you remember when we did the dream booking and I put over pretty much like every match for like every spot it could be. I was hopeful for the women's match, which turned out to be, I guess it's insulting to say surprisingly bright spot, but it turned out to be one of the better matches, I would say, but it's not the compliment I would like it to be. Most of the matches got what felt like relatively the same amount of time, but the shorter matches were my favorite, which is not typically a good thing. So, it was not the celebration of the Briscoes that I kind of thought it would be. He had his own tribute show, right? So there was a tribute show, and I wasn't necessarily for sure like, oh, we should just put the belt on him over Samoa Joe, but that match was bad, so
yeah,
don't really want to focus on that.
No,
the tag team match,
such a shame.
The tag team match was super mid, or I guess there were so many. The Reach for the Sky ladder match was super mid, and it was everything bad about indie wrestling rolled up into the kind of dressing that makes you realize that a lot of people are just here for stunts. It is a human live Cirque du Soleil stunt show, and if that's your thing, man, these guys, they did it. They sure...
You're killing me, man. You're killing me. I had such high hopes for this.
Me too. I spent the majority of last podcast we did putting it over, basically, in all my excitement, and that's really the moral of the story is, maintain zero expectations. Whenever WWE has a show that has like basically no hype going into it, that has no real build up, it's always the best wrestling because then you're just sort of focused on, the story they're trying to tell you right now rather than the expected outcome that you really wanted from the beginning. And that's a huge theme of, the WrestleMania main events. Other than that, the pure wrestling match did not really like observe the rules as much as I wanted it to.
Oh, really?
Claudio Castagnoli. It's so funny. Just today, because it's Mania season, Facebook gave me memories. The memories thing came up from a couple. Years.
Time Hop.
Yeah. The memories thing from Time Hop popped up, and it's just me talking about how much I wish Sheamus would retire and how impressive Antonio Cesaro is. And so...
Two very different textures of awesome. I don't know why Sheamus needs to go away for Cesaro to keep kicking ass, but keep going.
He just replaced Cesaro with McIntyre, and I don't know. Doesn't hit the same.
Oh my god. You're so salty. So difficult to please. such a crunchy butthole. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm a fan of, good storytelling in wrestling. So, uh, there's, yeah, like I said, like the shorter matches, like Tanahashi and Daniel Garcia was. It was rough to say the least, but man, it is. I don't know. I don't want to say bad stuff about it. It just seems like it was not the product for me. I'm just, no matter how much I try to give it the benefit of the doubt, I'm not a indie wrestling fan.
Ooh, ouch, more spleen pain. I thought that was the cool thing to be, though, was like we're supposed to be fans of the counterculture type wrestling, right? The ones that fight the systems, that bogart all the talent. Even though truly ROH is right there with AEW, right? Like that's their other team, right? That's their other brand. And it's sad that you feel like it felt so decidedly indie wrestling. You said they didn't even do anything to pay tribute to Jay Briscoe?
No, I mean, he wasn't there. Remember I talked about like have some kind of ceremonial hanging of the belt? Mm-hmm. I mean, he came out to celebrate with the winners, which, spoiler, turned out to be his best friends in the match. At least as far as I know. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, there was like maybe some I don't know, man. I don't want to say bad stuff, but it was not good stuff on my screen. So I really thought I even thought before this I'd have more upsides, like more things to talk about, but really the best compliment I can give it is that the Lucha Brothers are still fucking amazing. They were by far the best tag team in this match. Like, it was honestly like insulting that some of these guys were in here with them. And it's the first time I've ever seen a Canadian destroyer, which I guess is a Mexican destroyer when Penta does it. But it's the only time I've ever seen one that didn't look completely fake and stupid and bullshit. And guess what happened?
It produced one of the most amazing spots since AEW, or the original ECW folded.
No, it broke a guy's fucking leg like Sid Vicious.
Ooh,
like God. It just snapped one of the Martins. I don't know, Dante, Darius.
Dante Martin.
Whichever top flight guy got fucking buried under the tables. Like, they just, it's the best part of the match, and it's the one where the guy gets the most hurt. Like, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, it is regrettable. It is the biggest moment, and yet you produce, an outcome that makes you want to slide this great highlight under the table because Dante Martin's like, yeah, you can't show that. That's my pain over and over again. But he probably will. It'll be great for the ROH version of the "Don't Try This at Home" promos.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm sure people who are big fans of Ring of Honor and indie wrestling and it's cool that they had guys from all over, right? They had guys from AAA on the show, guys from NJPW, and AEW guys. Like it's neat. It's I just imagine it's the kind of show that's for people who want to go to live events and just be in a crowd of people watching the same thing that they've watched at home on their couch a million times and just being like, yeah, bud, we're here. At the same time that it's happening. Like,
it just didn't have that epicosity.
It didn't have a purpose. It's a random fucking indie spot show. Like, it's like it's not there's no build. There's nothing there. I thought maybe because it's like such a big deal, it's like they're big because I mean, we'll talk about WrestleMania later, right? And WrestleMania is supposed to be like the payoff of a bunch of different storylines, and we see that less and less. And there's always been the big spot show celebrity element, the spectacle.
Yeah, the matches. Crowd getter. The attention grabber.
Yeah, and this is just an issue where all of indie wrestling, they treat every single match like that. Every fucking match is a dream match. Oh my god, did you ever think you'd see Hiroshi Tanahashi wrestling Jericho's 5th job guy?
No.
Did you ever think you'd see Did you ever think you'd see Tanahashi wrestling against a guy who, fucking didn't have a name on TV for the first 6 months?
Mm.
Did you want to see that? Is there any reason I should be seeing this? No, it's just a dream match. Oh my god.
Regrettable.
Also, Wheeler Yuta got super fucking buried, and I don't think indie wrestling fans see it that way.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw that result. We talked briefly about it. What an interesting choice. You had convinced me by the end of our talk last week that it was appropriate for Yuta to get a big signature win to help elevate him amongst his peers, but that didn't come. He got wasted.
Bro. You got swerved.
He got kicked in the face.
Yeah, he got pinned, and then Shibata picked him up and said, no, I need to teach you some respect, and then kicked him in the face. And if that's not a fucking burial, bro, I don't know. You don't know wrestling.
Well, then Shibata's maybe just revving up for a big, final push. Maybe this is the most television he can get for his retirement, so he wants to get some exposure and have a decent run. And Yuta was like, it'd be an honor to put you over and help kickstart your run, because you came into this thinking, no chance, Yuta needs this and deserves it. So that makes me think, what if they do something else, hopefully, to really capitalize on it. But I'm sorry the pay-per-view wasn't good. I'm sorry it didn't mean more to our wrestling memories. I'll tell you, it's funny. You watched a show all alone. I watched a show all alone. I saw NXT Stand and Deliver 2023. I was kicking it on Monday afternoon thinking, man, what do I want to do with all this free time I got? I might as well watch NXT Stand and Deliver, because it's the one event I haven't taken in this weekend, and man, I'm a completionist this weekend. So turned it on, had a lineup of solid matches from names I've been reading all up and down the NXT cards for the last several months. And so listen to this. There's some decent matches you will want to hear. For everybody who remembers the good old days of NXT and misses them and hasn't paid attention to NXT because most of the big golden era names have moved on. Johnny Gargano was wrestling. Yeah. Excitement for Gargano? Anyone? Okay.
No. Why would they be? Johnny same phase.
I needed to make sure you were there. I was like, man, you're giving me a lot of quiet here.
Well, I mean, I don't want to interrupt you and inform all the people at home that while you may be telling me about all these great matches, we both know that you can't be trusted.
I can't be trusted because I'm Captain Positivity Pants, generally.
Is that a question, or because that's the truth? Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, guys, let's make sure you all understand that to me, wrestling's like candy.
So, okay, tell me on Grayson Waller in 5 seconds.
Grayson Waller is this was my first time seeing him in
months. 5 seconds.
It's really rude of you to only limit me to 5 seconds. Grayson Waller is an up-and-coming, super charismatic, I would say all-around solid performer. Reminds me a lot of, and other people have compared him to guys like Miz, but that's kind of what we're seeing. He's a bit white bread.
We know how much I love The Miz.
He's closer to like an LA Knight, if I'm being candid.
Oh, we know how much I love LA Knight.
But we're turning down the humor by about 40%.
Oh, well, you know how much I love unfunny LA Knight.
All right. Well, that's really unfortunate right at the moment, but that's about what Grayson Waller is. He's the heel LA Knight without any of the charismatic, reasons for him getting cheers from the audience lately. And so that's the matchup with Johnny Gargano, is like this legend of NXT whom Waller capitalized on in order to kickstart his own push up NXT's card literally years ago. We're talking about maybe 2.5 years ago. He had buried Johnny Gargano by powerbombing him through a table on his way out the door in NXT. And it catapulted his own rise as he's really...
Wait, Johnny Gargano left NXT?
Yeah, he's not been there consistently for a long time.
I was gonna say
So
every time I see him, he's an NXT guy.
the point is an NXT legend faces Grayson Waller in
Wait,
NXT's.
I'm sorry. You see, you got me interrupted now because you gave me the pass. You were gonna say the training ground has legends now. Ric Flair was right. People do use that term too much.
Okay, Savage, correct, fair, but yeah, I mean the brand has put on quality shows that maybe guys like Vince McMahon don't think are better than his own product, but for me, NXT's golden age was better than their WWE counterparts by
Oh, by
almost.
far.
There you go. So yeah,
You
legend
still have to
of.
sit through two jobbers fighting each other, and the only thing really suspenseful about it is one of the jobbers gets an entrance, so you know who's winning.
That didn't happen, I don't think, on this evening, so
Oh yeah,
I'll
yeah, yeah.
call that
Not
a
at
whiff.
I'm just saying, like overall as a product, like
Uh,
the average, NXT weekly show was still a lot of like pure developmental. People
yes,
really brush over the first 20 minutes of most NXT
right.
episodes.
Those are the moments when you get to see such incredible, future stars as Mojo Rawley, you know, and the grizzled young veterans, poor guys.
The grizzled young veterans.
You got way more of a reaction for that than I expected.
All right. What was the best match at NXT Stand and
Yeah,
Salute?
let me just sell it on the show because the show was quality. Go and check it out. I recommend anybody who's missing what old NXT offered should check this out and give it some time. And I need to give it credit. It was a good show. Gargano versus Grayson Waller in the unsanctioned match, which you pointed out wisely before we started recording. You can't sign a contract for an unsanctioned match. So
He fucking needed his consent to an unsanctioned fight.
it is pretty dumb. Quality match, though. Quality match, good content. Braun Breaker is defending his NXT championship, which he's held for at least a year, against Carmelo Hayes, who was one of his first victims on his title run. But Carmelo Hayes has been steadily building in popularity to the point where he seems undeniable. So he's finally circled back to the top of the card like most wrestling can do. Like, I love when the guys who lose earn their way back up to the top. I think Kevin Owens did that most recently, but like, good. I love that use of the card. Anyway, so they have a match. It's quality. That's your main event. Great, great, great main event. Really impressive. I think Braun Breaker wrestles better than his father or his uncle did, and that is, as you may recall from early days of Steiner tag team wrestling, that's quite the compliment. And Zoe Stark and Gigi Dolan and Tiffany Stratton and Lyra Valkyria, say that 3 times fast, and Indy Hartwell have a ladder match for the NXT Women's title. And they're actually forgetting the champion there. That is Roxanne, right? Everybody has been high on Roxanne, one of Booker T's earliest students, and she's the champion going into this for this this women's ladder match. Very, very, very fun. Everybody gets a moment. Can't tell you anymore else. I know, Sam, you want to see that one, huh? What makes you want to see that women's ladder match?
I like ladder matches.
Fire. All right. Fallon Henley and Kiana James are taking on Alba Fire and Isla Dawn for the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. And I remember Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, formerly Kaylee. I think it was not Kaylee Ray. I hope it was
Bro,
Kaylee
hold
Ray.
up.
What?
I'm pretty sure these are exactly the names of two elves from a fucking Dungeons and Dragons book. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Those are fucking elves, bro.
You're probably right, because they're like Isla Dawn especially does like this evil witches like gimmick. She's a redhead with Sheamus colored skin, maybe even whiter. Like, yikes.
Sheamus color. You could just say she's Irish, homie.
Irish
she's a pale redhead. Come on.
Irish as hell. Yo, She's grown up. I remember seeing her from the women's Mae Young Classic, right? The second one.
Did she always? I'm gonna look her up. Did she always have the same name?
Isla Dawn, yeah, she's been Isla
Okay.
Dawn as long as she's been around in NXT. But they had a tag team match. Check it out. I don't know who Fallon Henley and Kiana James are though in this. Like, I think they're part of a um group called Chase U, who were really entertaining, and they were in like one of the opening matches, and I didn't think they should be. Um, yeah, we'll just jump to that real quick. That was Gallus versus the Creed brothers versus the Angelo family versus Chase University. Oh no, that was different. That was different. So it was triple threat. Hello, Gallus,
Huh.
Creed, and D'Angelo family. Sorry guys, I can't even read my own text here. Gallus is from WWE NXT UK, been doing this for years in this program in NXT. Like, they're stalwarts of NXT. Not going to say legends, but they've been around for a while and
Veterans of the training ground.
they've been getting TV time in NXT UK forever, and now in NXT like American with the folding of that brand. It makes sense. And traditionally, Gallus was a group of 3, but only 2 have been on screen for a while. And that is, one of the Cobb brothers and Wolfgang. And they have a good match. They have a good thing going. 2 giant dudes who do a lot of damage but are athletic versus the Creed brothers, who are insanely athletic for how brutish and brawly and grapply they are. They're really interesting. Big on the shoot wrestling tactics. Actually, are the Creed brothers. They kind of remind me of early Steiners, but still a style all their own. You got to check out the Creed brothers. They're terrible at picking ring attire, guys, but fantastic in the ring. And
Do they come to the ring with arms wide open?
they just look a lot like Vladimir Kozlov, except less color coordinated. So, like, think your grandmother's pillowcases and put them over your thorax here, your balls and your ass. That is what they're wearing. Is your grandma's pillowcase. It's like, please alternate your ideas. And then the
Look,
D'Angelo
man,
family.
I'm not gonna judge other people's culture, okay?
Oof. Please. Please see them, and then please get on your frickin' hill and stand there. But first, see them. All right. The D'Angelo family are a pair of Italianos. That classic gimmick, it's back. And this one's more
FBI, but with
a
2
little-
guys instead of 3.
These are the family, right? 2 2 so far. I don't think they have any other friends.
Do
but
they ever whack anybody?
I mean, as far as murdering is concerned, I think they had, and I swear I haven't watched NXT in such a long time, dude. So
Do
I
they
think I
ever
read-
off any guys?
I remember reading in some of their pseudo storylines that there was an offing in one of them, but I was reading. I only read the reviews.
But do they ever whack off any guys?
All right, I know. Thank you so much for really driving that home. No, I don't think to this point they've jerked anybody off.
Well, then they should go to Billy Gunn's wrestling school. He can teach you how to jerk a knot in anyone's ass.
Oh, jeez, we're really going with highbrow stuff tonight, folks. Circling back, we have Wes Lee, who is the former member of the Rascals, right? Who came over to WWE a year or 2 ago and changed their name. But one of them turned out to be like, woo, you gotta go because of his morality meter. So they fired him. And Wes Lee, who in my opinion was by far the more interesting of the 2 in the ring, he gets this massive singles push and is now their NXT North American champion. And Sam, he's really leaning in on video game culture in NXT. Like, it's cool to see it. It's like I'm gonna say it. It's like their version of Kenny Omega, or on-screen version of Austin Creed. And
they started putting him on screen though. They're doing the gimmick with LA Knight over his video games.
It is nice to see. I'm actually really excited about that. Austin might be himself pretty soon and do something else with his personality on screen. He's an undeniably awesome star for them, and he's higher up the card than his wins and losses may appear. Anyway, this guy's basically Wesley's basically doing Shadoukens during matches and looking like OP, like if Goku went Super Saiyan. That's how they're playing him off. And he's been turning back open challenge after open challenge. So for this pay-per-view, Shawn Michaels, who's on screen now interacting with the NXT talent, so you've got my attention for sure, says you need to pick your 4 opponents for the Fatal 5-Way North American Championship match. And he chooses all 4 of his opponents to be JD McDonough, who has been another long-time part of like the Cruiserweight Classics. Jordan Devlin was his other name in that. NXT UK, he's been all over that. And now with the folding of that brand, he got to keep his job in NXT and is getting pushed closer to the high point of the card. And he's brutal. He reminds me of like a mix between Drew Gulak and Finn Balor. He's just tough and mean and capable. And so that's JD McDonough. He picks Ilya Dragunov, who you all may remember from his epic series with Walter before Walter was coming over to NXT proper and later the main roster. Holy cow, is Ilya Dragunov not tough as nails and extremely committed to being the crazy German guy. The best German since Baron von Raschke. This guy, you need to watch Ilya Dragunov do his thing. So incredible. There's this guy named Axiom who thinks he's a superhero. He literally wears like colorful tights like a luchador and a mask that looks like he's got like a dough head on his face. And that's how he sees. Like, you need to see this mask. It looks silly. Like, it looks like Bambi's mother's head has been cut off and put as his ability to see. Like, it's a bad shape. But anyway, he's very capable in the ring. He's very fun. I think he's from NXT UK, but I never watched any of his stuff, so this is my first time enjoying one of his matches. So he's picked those 3 guys who've been on NXT for a while and Dragon Lee, okay? And Dragon Lee is a brand new hire by NXT. He's been highly clouded and touted. He's out of AAA, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely luchador. And in style. So, another great asset to NXT allegedly. And this was Wesley's chance to kind of feel this guy out and figure out what he had on his hands with this new challenger. So they have this epic Fatal 5-Way, guys, and it is epic, and it is really pretty darn good and fun and doesn't take itself too seriously, but there's so many guys with distinctive styles in this one. It's a great styles clash, for sure. Check that one out.
I don't like that move either.
I'm grateful you chimed in. Glad you're listening to me. That's the one I want you to see too while you're swinging by the women's ladder match, okay? And finally, Chase University teams up with Tyler Bate, big strong boy. He also survived NXT UK closing and is now on NXT. He did. He's here.
He's in Chase University. I actually saw a little bit of them like a week or 2 ago. And boy, it's weird. They have lockers at the performance center. They have them everywhere, though. That's the weird part.
This is the act that has gotten many pundits to say it's the best thing going in NXT.
No fucking way, bro. The promo, like the backstage segment and the match I watched, no fucking.
Well, you'll have to see the match to understand whether you can really cement them in the bottom of your basement or not. But I thought that was a quality segment that they had alongside Bate against Schism. And Schism's like this weird new version of the Wyatt family, if there can be one, with the repackaged grizzled young veterans who I mentioned earlier, who are not liking what they're doing in NXT. I can tell they're itching to get out and be in AEW, no doubt. So,
It sounds like an Eric Young thing.
Yeah, could be. In a way, it's very similar, very comparable. And the other two members of Schism are Ava Raine, who is The Rock's daughter, which I'd never seen her in a match, so this was interesting for me. And finally, the fourth guy, who's the lead name, I think his name is Joe Gacy. Like, I think he literally shares it with the serial killer, right? Joe, wasn't there Wayne Gacy? Ugh. Anyway, Joe Gacy, and he's kind of the creepy serial killer character who heads the whole thing. So he's really like manipulative and mental. So those two have very weird personalities to clash, and enjoy that 8-man tag match with two women in it. Mixed gender tag match because there's some ladies in Chase U. So yeah, fun stuff. Great show. Really did hold my attention entirely, especially the matches that I wasn't spoiled on going in because headlines were everywhere. But yeah, man, real quality. I really do mean it. And so wash it down with that. And now let's start the WrestleMania recap, shall we?
Yeah, I'm super down. I'm definitely I gotta check out the ladder match because it is objectively the best alternate match type. And then I'll see if I get around to the Fatal 5-Way. That seems like a lot of dorks in the ring at once.
It could be interpreted that way, but I'm serious. They deserve to be seen. Like all five of these guys, I vouch for them. Okay, please just give it an extra 15 minutes out of your hellaciously busy day. Like break it up over shit breaks or something.
Well, speaking of a lot of dorks in the ring, that sums up two-night WrestleMania pretty well because, my goodness, am I already tired of 2 nights of WrestleMania.
Yeah, you came into it whining that you didn't need 2 nights to enjoy the overall experience, but I thought they paced the entire event well across those 2 nights. I'm going to be the guy who, of course, reminds you that that it was better than you're giving it credit to be. I think the right matches went on the right night, and they put together 2 very strong cards. And I'm glad they didn't put it on one night because we've whined about the feeling of 5-hour shows. So each of these WrestleManias were decent bites that didn't feel over bloated for a change. And I think a lot of the matches delivered, but we're going to differ on that like always.
To justify the 2 nights, there has to be no bad matches. That's the issue. As soon as there's any wasted amount of time, the extra time just becomes a factor. It becomes something that, as a consumer, you just wish that they had cut. And the one defense I will say for this, the one defense is in today's day and age, I can wait till it's over, and then I can go back and I can watch the replay, and I can skip the bullshit myself. So I acknowledge that there's 2 sides of it, but nobody is ever going to just say, hey, we'll skip the bad shit. You can't promote that, of course. WWE can't be like... I mean, they've always given us a piss break match. It's very nice of them. But I will acknowledge the fact that I can just skip shit. But then, I do, and everyone gets upset at me, so...
Well, I wanted to skip some shit, too, early on in some of this, because I didn't get to watch WrestleMania Night 1 until the day of WrestleMania Night 2, as you know. And I got a late start to watch to get to Night 1, so I was like, let's get through the bullshit. So I also didn't see every single detail of Austin Theory versus John Cena, which was the opener to the whole weekend.
You know what that match was, though? I can sum it up in one sentence.
I'm sure you can.
It is the proof that Austin Theory is not the next John Cena. He is instead the next Randy Orton.
Oh, yes. He does feel very Orton-y. He's extremely... Mm-hmm.
He wrestled exactly like Orton, pretty much. He wasn't doing his
Ooh.
moves, but he was doing his stomps. He was doing his pacing. He was doing his crowd play. He was doing his John Cena specific shit. Like, it was very much a, hey, don't compare these two guys because Austin Theory couldn't hack it as a babyface, but he's pretty much going to be a forever heel.
Oh, well, he was. We'll see about that. I'll definitely have to
Even
say.
when Randy Orton's a babyface, he's a forever heel, bro.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see if that does pan out over time because I think he'll be likable one day. He almost got us with how impassioned he was the night that Trips took over and gave a harder edge to his character and took away the selfies and the glasses. The
Well,
glasses were
but
still
did
there.
you think at some point Randy Orton was likable?
No. I mean, I
Oh,
agree with you
interesting.
that Randy's a pretty unlikable, like, visage and the way he carries himself. Like, I respect the hell out of Randy Orton, and it would be so cool to meet him and talk to him
Huh.
if he'd be gracious enough to chat. But,
Wow, I'm
you
proud
know,
of you, man.
why?
You just said somebody was unlikable. That's like the meanest you've ever been to a wrestler you've
Oh,
never met.
well, that's fair. But his character is very unlikable. His aura has always been unlikable as a role. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Even as a baby face, you're just like, nah, fuck this guy. You're just like, I still
well,
wouldn't.
because Randy's one of those guys who got top guy treatment, and
And I
eventually
mean, his
those
name is Randy. When you say his name, you're just automatically complaining. That's just how those sounds come out.
Randy. Interesting. I know a Randy in my family, and he's a very nice man and has always been very, very kind to my family because he's good friends with my pa. So I love Randy's actually. I think this Randy is unlikable, Orton, because of how much he's been on top over the years and how his character has only had to change subtly to remain on top. It's like, man, he makes it look so easy. So, maybe I'm just jealous because I wish I could make my dreams seem easy, and his dreams are just like he's doing it because it's in
Well,
his blood.
Randy Orton wasn't here at WrestleMania this night, thankfully, but you're gonna have lots of Randy Orton style matches coming your way in the future. If if I had to compare him to anyone else, it's probably Sammy Guevara because I imagine Austin Theory is just like an unlikable person in real life, and that's just gonna bleed
Mm.
over no matter what. So
I don't hate you calling Austin Theory a Sammy Guevara type because Sammy is really unlikable.
yeah, he's
But
just a fucking chode, bro.
I do think Austin Theory is capable of winning some likability points down the line. So good luck to him. But this
He's
match
gonna.
was skippable. I was I as soon as the entrances were done and I realized it was going to be a match and not a squash, I was like, let's just get to the end because we kind of know how this will go. There will be an attitude adjustment. There will be an STFU. I mean, even after not seeing a Cena match in years, I decided to skip one. So, I knew that Austin was going to win because Cena's not going to come back and be full time. And I knew he was going to cheat to do it. And I knew the match was going to just feel anticlimactic anyway. So thanks for coming, Cena. And it's always nice to
Yeah.
know you care about the business. I know you do. And even though you're making
See,
shit tons of money, not having to be pumped up kicks anymore, like,
Cena got to prove that he's not at a decrepit, please go away and retire Undertaker level of oldness. That's
right,
pretty
right.
much it. And he'll probably have like one or two more hurrahs to give the Cena fans that still exist the thing. And, we'll probably skip those matches too. Um,
He'll be
next,
around. He'll be around when he wants to be and when he can be. He really
yeah,
does care about wrestling so much and the fans. He's just found other things to do again. Good
yeah.
stars get to do that, and we should be happy for him.
Yeah, but I'm going to transition now to the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match because that's an easy skip.
Yeah, I think we skipped most of this too. Again, just showing the entrances because I was watching it with somebody who hadn't seen WWE in years, and I wanted to kind of like talk up who was involved. And for the record, my guy, now that I'm thinking about it, the entrances and the stage for this year's WrestleMania, were they not badass or what, man? Wasn't the stage phenomenal?
No, I wasn't a fan. I
I
thought a
guess I could
bunch of
have
the
been ignorant.
entrances were pretty good, but the stage specifically, I mean, it's on brand for Hollywood. It's like a red carpet thing, you know. It's neat. They did something. That's something. They usually don't do anything now.
Right.
So
No,
that's something. I guess the bar has been set so low that the fact that there's just like some film and like kind of an award show thing is actually really cool.
oof.
We got
I
the
mean,
giant boat WrestleMania, so
the ramp, like the ramp was the most intimidating thing I've ever seen. You like it's almost its own joke now that that thing gets bigger and bigger with all these events. So I'm sorry it didn't. Gosh, I guess I'm not surprised. I loved it. I loved it. I thought the stage was badass. And these four entrances were made for this stage. Street Profits coming out, raining cups, and seeing everybody bounce their hands up and down to the rhythm of their song. I mean, eh, I think we're all behind the Street Profits as individuals. I think they've both proven to be great pieces for the WWE puzzle. And I pray that they get to be friends as either one of them rise, but
hmm.
let's get them moving. They're so entertaining. Um,
It doesn't
and
sound like you skipped it.
well, I skipped it to the last couple minutes where all the good spots came, but I was watching the entrances. I always watch entrances because the presentation of a superstar is just as memorable overall if you don't get to watch their in-ring work. Um, and we had Alpha Academy who earned a right to be showcased at WrestleMania, and oh my god, I can't wait to break down my favorite spots from this match. Viking Raiders had a phenomenal entrance too,
I like how this
and
went from easily skippable to, oh my god, I can't wait to tell you all about these really cool spots I wrote in my diary. First, there was a super kick, and then two guys did the super kick, and then they dived to
stop,
the outside, and then the other guy
stop.
dived to the outside, and
No,
then.
seriously, stop.
Have you
Okay,
ever seen Shawn Michaels do a moonsault? Well, have I got the move for you?
you. Wow, I didn't know I was Billy Mays over here. Billy Mays for WrestleMania. It there was the Viking Raiders great entrance, and then Braun Strowman and Ricochet come out, and they're like the opposite of everything I just talked about. Not that I don't like them as just a weird team. Great spots in this match. Braun Strowman got hit with Chad Gable's incredible O'Connor roll into a deadlift German suplex. Chad Gable did what I just described to Braun Strowman, okay? He bounces them chest first into the turnbuckle, right? Pushes off of them, goes into an O'Connor roll, which is a backwards pinning move, which you wouldn't even think Chad Gable had the leverage to perform on a guy the size of Braun Strowman. Uh,
Yeah, I guess
class,
you wouldn't, huh?
you wouldn't, because he's turny. Um, our friend Chad wraps his arms around Strowman, right, for the German suplex from behind, belly to back. And as he's rolling out of this O'Connor roll, deadlifts Strowman off the ground and into the German suplex for a great 2 count and popped me off my seat, man. Chad Gable, as I said at the moment I saw it, Chad Gable has obliques of titanium, okay? There's no I don't understand how that man is physically capable of doing that. If he's not in the top of the card at some point in his career, it's a crime to fantastic talent. Holy God. Incredible. Okay, and Strowman did his choo-choo, right? This is another one of my favorite spots because I know you skipped all of them and you don't see any of them. These moments are great, okay? And people might like to hear me like them.
Look, man, all I'm
Strowman.
saying is a skip means a skip. I very rarely do a partial skip. You know, it's you get a couple minutes to hook me in, and then you're gonna get skipped.
Well, I'm gonna point out some of the cool moments that hopefully your imagination reminds you to just at least give it the 90 minutes before the end of the match, okay? Because most of these were in that time.
Well,
Um,
I mean, just don't expect me to pop and go wow for like your description of it.
you don't you don't understand how cool it is to see Chad Gable deadlift Braun Strowman off the ground and over his head into a German suplex. What?
I mean, well,
That
okay, well, you know, I've actually got WrestleMania Day One open. I
uh-huh.
can, you know, go
You
to.
can connect to this moment and understand how that just visually doesn't make sense, right? I mean, as jacked as Chad is, it's incredible. It's just incredible what he can do physically. So kudos to him. Now, as you're fighting that highlight, you'll also look near the end of the match to find Braun Strowman regaining his head of steam and going for his, Strowman Express choo-choo train experience, which is a lot of people's least favorite thing about wrestling, I hope, because that's
it's
mine.
not. It's not a flattering way to describe it.
Oh, it's such a stupid move. This moment, like all of it. I mean, I'm not a guy who was a fan of the Ho Train, okay? I was a fan of the Godfather as a character by accident. Um, but this is on the outside, barreling into people and sending them Keith Lee flying, right? Um, except it just never looks all that crunchy. It doesn't feel all that interesting. And maybe this was the first time that Vince is back in charge and he doesn't understand why, Trips would rehire Braun Strowman in the first place. But like Strowman got tackled out of his boots while performing that move. And he got tackled out of his boots by Angelo Dawkins, who tremendously deserves to look cool after a moment like that. Like that was completely unexpected, and I'm really happy for him. And I hope he doesn't get buried at any point. But tag team life. Um. So
So
go ahead.
I'm allowed to ruin your night, right? Like it's my podcast. You say that a lot.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to ask your permission to ruin your night, right?
No, of course. No,
Okay,
please
good. Because
puncture my helium
I
balloon.
I just watched it, and I'm just trying to be fair, man. The truth is important to me. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not saying it's not it's not a cool spot. I mean, the crowd loved it, and they're the ones who matter. But it wasn't a fucking deadlift. You could just clearly see Roman. You can clearly see Strowman jump.
Fine.
I gotta burst your bubble. I gotta be real. The truth matters
I
to
didn't
me.
see it.
It's not that it's not a cool spot. It looks great. I also just have to point out that, physics wise, if you know anything about judo, the fact that he's really short actually makes it way easier to do the fucking German suplex than it would be if he was as tall as Braun Strowman.
It's still a huge guy. It's still a tall man. It's still
Still a cool
heat.
spot. I get it. It's still a cool spot. I just, I
Crown Chad
gotta
Gable.
be.
Hashtag Crown Chad Gable.
I gotta be real. I gotta be very real. That's what wrestling's missing today. It's missing reality.
Well, the reality is this match was great. Viking Raiders had their moments. Alpha Academy were fun. I mean, at least the last couple minutes of it were great. Good character work. I love all these guys. Really, really cool moments near the end there, at least. So the next match, go ahead.
Well, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad people like wrestling I don't like. It's just you're coming to ask me for my opinions, and it's like it's not seeing John Cena pick up Big Show and stuff like that, like that doesn't resonate that much with me. It's cool. A lot of people really like it. It's
Oh my God.
not the shit that I pop for.
And Chad's not a third, but 2/3 the size of Cena's. So it's just, and Strowman's, that was big.
If he put him on his shoulders and carried him around, and then then did like a Death Valley Driver and all kinds of sure, the Stackplex from the 4-man tag team match. That's kind of nice. He definitely didn't get half of what he wanted out of it, Ricochet jumping, but, you know, people are popping because it's 8 guys in the ring doing stuff. Like, not something they see every day.
No, it's not, but it was a fairly tight presentation, especially down the stretch, and Street Profits get the win. Lots of momentum, great feel-good moment for that
Can't
tag
wait till they
team.
break up and the Jeff Hardy of the group turns on the Matt Hardy of the group.
I'm scared. I don't want any of that to happen, as I just said.
Or I guess it'd be the Matt turning on the Jeff, but then he doesn't become a star. You know what was surprisingly not an instant skip?
I'm going to say the Mysterio battles.
Ooh, yes. That was one I was probably going to skip, but the entrances were cool. I got hooked by the entrance. They got me with the special entrance. Like I said earlier, the entrances were cool. The stage I'm not popping over, but the entrances for the most part were pretty damn good. I'm just going to say it now. It's going to come up later too. Snoop Dogg should just be a mainstay of WrestleMania at this point, right?
Well, he
should just be the host every year.
He handled one of the most interesting moments of the
weekend. We'll get to that. You gotta come on now. Stay on top.
But yes, okay, yeah. Snoop Dogg is delightful, and he's one of the most charismatic WWE fans in the world. So having him around can only be good for business. I agree. He should be a staple. I love that idea.
I'm not the big power positivity guy, right? And a lot of people, they see Snoop Dogg as this really positive, feel-good guy who's always having a good time. And I mean, who wouldn't if you were a fucking millionaire who got to transition his celebrity into just all your passion projects? It's literally the goal, right? And so, to me, Snoop Dogg is like a beacon of that reality. Like, he grounds you in the moment, and he brings maybe not the most polished, takes on everything and stuff like that, but he's in the moment, he's present, and that's very cool. And seeing him come out with Rey Mysterio was really weird at first, but it having Snoop just be like present throughout multiple parts of the show and having like relationships with multiple wrestlers felt way better than just him appearing in the ring once or twice or appearing backstage to announce some shit on a microphone.
Agreed. He was a great asset to the presentation of the show in so many ways, and likely was underrated regardless. So good idea. I like your take.
Yeah.
And he kickstarted a match between Miz and Pat McAfee, who needed a WrestleMania moment, I suppose. And
yeah, you know who didn't? The Miz. The Miz can fuck off.
I was doing dishes in the other room. This was me. This was my bathroom break.
Nice.
I had a feeling
it
was going to happen, and it was right before the main event. Was this Pat McAfee segment? Because they're interchangeable in some weird way in my brain.
Yeah, I don't know. We're jumping around a lot. I just wanted to mention Snoop Dogg because he came out with Rey Mysterio, and we were talking about the entrances.
I agree. I just wanted to wrap up real quick because we're not going to go back to that Pat McAfee thing. I skipped that too.
Yeah.
Good for Pat McAfee that he won. But yes, going back to Snoop Dogg driving in Rey and how cool that spectacle was. And, you always are grateful to give tributes to Eddie. Cool mask by Rey Mysterio, if you noticed, was kind of shaped like the Great Muda's. Rey is quite inspired by him. That was cool.
I did catch that the second time I saw it, actually. Like, the second I saw it on, like, YouTube or something.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch it the first time.
I watched the What Culture Wrestling, like, attire meaning videos, because I think those are interesting to get to know the people behind the wrestlers, and that's where I realized, oh, cool touch from Rey. That's where I saw that, so shout out to them. The
Mysterio's match is really weird because they waited till like the last week to do any real build up other than just Dom talking shit to his dad, and then they basically repeated the same beats of getting the other members of his family involved in the WrestleMania match, and it didn't really escalate from there. He just used it as a distraction spot, right? And
Uh-huh.
it is an interesting trivia question. How many pro wrestlers have gotten to kiss their wife during a WrestleMania match?
Ooh, I'm gonna say 9.
9? That seems like a lot. I was thinking like 2.
Okay.
I was thinking like maybe Macho Man giving Miss Elizabeth a kiss, and then Rey Mysterio kissing his wife.
Man, I feel like there's bound to be more. I mean, Undertaker kissed Michelle McCool at WrestleMania 30?
Did he?
Because yeah, that was him. Not 30. That was the one where he almost died. 34 or something where he lost to Reigns. That was him trying to say goodbye, and he kissed his wife
Oh.
on screen. Yep, I remember it.
Okay,
From,
okay. Well, that's not
so
during the
there's at least
match.
3,
Did
and
I
I
say
feel
during
like
WrestleMania or during the match? I might have just said during WrestleMania because I didn't
you
think
did
about
say
after the
WrestleMania.
match.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think like maybe Triple H and Stephanie had a moment. You know, they probably just got done beating some people up and firing them, and then he's just jerking them off under the table. Who knows?
Graphic. Well, yes, the Mysterio match was excellent. I mean, I love the outcome. I love that it means Ray's probably still going to be around a while. I love that it's
Nah,
still
man, Dom needed this. He buried him. Golden shovel. Unbelievable. Taking spots from new guys.
No way. I think Dom still made himself a little bit stronger on this one. I think it was still a great rub. I think he was probably really happy to put over his dad and his heart. I thought they built a great story, and I thought it paid off well. And hey, kudos to both men and really special match in general from a
Kudos to
history
Ray
standpoint.
for convincing them to restart LWO.
I love that too. I hope they don't lose sight of that. Please. That's so fun. I think they were on SmackDown on Friday, but I'm just hopeful that it doesn't get cut off because that's such a fun idea. Fun
I
match.
uh, I was very much surprised by how enjoyable the storytelling in the Mysterios match was. Definitely like well positioned on the card, a good use of their time. Just wish that they had done more physicality, more real build up. Like, and I probably would have been surprisingly sold on it because Mysterio doing his flips and stuff, not for me. Mysterio beating his son in front of his wife, absolutely for me.
Hey, he's a real wrestler now. Dominic is doing just fine. He's not going anywhere. It was a cool moment, great match, and it's gonna go. It's a plus. It's a plus for business, and a lot of a lot for both men's careers. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and on the theme of surprisingly good matches, I'm usually not a fan of 6-man tag team matches, but 6-woman tag team matches are even dicier in history. But Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch, and Lita versus Damage Control got way more time than I thought it would get, and it was pretty sloppy, but I'm impressed that they went to the places they did, and it had some decent storytelling, some decent spots. You know, it was very well done, all things considered.
Yo, I'm here for the women who came back to do this, Lita and Trish. What I love about them is they're actually doing new stuff. They're actually trying their moves in different ways that I have not seen them do before. It's like you could tell they sat at home at times thinking about, oh, I could have hit the Stratisfaction in this way, or the Stratosphere from this angle, or her moonsault. I don't the Lita DT. Did she ever have a name for it? The Extreme DT. I don't.
I don't think it was a DDT like variant name, but I'm sure I almost for sure she got a name for it by the end.
I have to say, man,
I think they called it I don't know. There was definitely a name for it at some point.
That's so funny. Somebody educate us. Put it in the comments. Here's our engagement plug.
Ooh, nice engagement plug. Yeah.
I need it, man. Educate us. Remind us of what we're missing. But fantastic to see them come back with motivation. They don't phone it in. They work hard. They hit their spots in creative new ways, and they had such great dance partners with Damage Control who deserve so much more credit than they seem to be booked for. So let's give them some dubs now that we've given them plenty of L's. But you're right. Bravo to this. What stood out and made it such a positive thing for you?
2 words. Io Sky, biggest star of all of WrestleMania.
Whoa, that is the most incredible praise. Give me 3 reasons why. Like, what stood out?
Facial expressions,
Mm-hmm.
psychology, and big moments. She hit all 3. She had the best psychology. She always had facial expressions, which is doubly important when you can't necessarily communicate with the majority of your audience verbally. And you know what was really interesting about this match? You know what really has changed from women's wrestling compared to, let's say, the Divas era?
Oh, just lay it on me. I'm not going to sound clever enough.
Nobody was screaming the whole fucking match. There was no shrill high school girl bullshit. Like, normally we enjoy when wrestlers talk shit to each other. And normally it's a mark of, you know, someone going above and beyond. You know, like a Kevin Owens. It's kind of almost a trademark of his. A big plus is how verbal he can be. Stone Cold Steve Austin calling you a dumb son of a bitch, you know, is always a great rarity. You know, it's a great thing when it happens. But for a lot of Divas matches, you know, the thing that would turn me off is just the fucking Bella twins were some of the absolute worst about it. Layla, even Michelle McCool, you talked about her. Like, pretty much everyone in the fucking... Even Paige does it a lot. And she still does in AEW quite a bit, where they're just fucking talk. They're on the apron, talk. They jump down and they all do a spot where, you know, you do the standoff spot where the 2 people in the match are down and both teams are protecting their wrestler from outside, just fucking screaming at each other. And to me, this tells me that they're focused on the wrestling rather than, you know,
I like
fucking
that.
high school improv.
They're doing incredible stuff. I love that Dakota Kai is part of Damage Control, for the record. I just love Dakota Kai. Glad that she's got a job in WWE.
She fits so well. You know, whatever happens to Damage Control, I hope that Io Sky and Dakota Kai actually stick together. They have like this weird, like, not really opposites attract, but they're definitely not like the same wavelength, you know? It's not the same. It's not just like when it's Imperium, it's just, you know, oh, here's a bunch of, you know, clean cut fucking mean muggers, you know, the Usos, right? The Usos, yeah. I hate to be this guy, but like, they're pretty interchangeable. They're not the same person, but like, they're very interchangeable as far as, you know, mean mugging Samoan guys standing behind Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough because they're twins and they work that as part of their storyline that people can't tell them apart. I'm not saying that. You know, I mean, they dyed their hair differently now, right? But I mean, like their whole thing is just, what's up, bitch? You know, like, that's their whole bit.
I get what vibe you're laying down overall.
Yeah, so it's very cool that they're like on a team, and it's not like it's not Alpha Academy where it's opposites. You know, it's not Strange Bedfellows, but it's also not, you know, Theme Team. If people are TV tropes fans out there.
Well, I mean, Io Sky, and everybody can know this their own way, but is an aerialist, striker, jack of all trades, truly an artist, very highly respected.
A genius. You mean a genius?
Yeah, absolutely. It's Shinsuke is the artist, right? Io is the
genius of the sky.
The genius of the sky.
That's why it's her name.
It's true. Thanks, Sam. I should just stick to what they wrote, right? But she can do anything that is needed of her, and she sells so well and seems to be so capable of taking every hit possible. Just so generous with the spots she gives up. And Dakota Kai, if anything, just takes the better beating, but offensively is really very different in her own right. You know, captain of Team Kick when she was a good girl, coming up in the ranks before she turned, you know, kind of vile as part of this group. She was you know, really getting to her best work in NXT with Tegan Nox as her tag team partner. They had this really great blood feud that culminated inside of War Games one year. I mean, she's been a part of some decent stuff, but she's definitely doing the best work of her career right now. But as a style, is a little bit more like even more strike heavy, certainly more kicky. Lots of feet in everything she does, lots of legs.
The shiniest wizard.
Not much of a scoop slammer. That's Tegan, right? Tegan Nox is the shiniest wizard, unless Dakota's starting to steal it, and I just didn't realize it.
I mean, yeah, she can lay claim to it, right? But I think the idea that Dakota Kai is leagues ahead of Tegan Nox is not news.
Oh, I agree. I'm not entirely certain why Tegan Nox has gotten as many chances as she has, especially since she was brought back most recently. She's really been treated you
Man,
know.
when I mention a jobber, I'm not inviting you to go off on a tangent about said jobber.
My bad, brother.
We got to stay focused. We got a lot of mania. We're not even done with day one, bro. Come on. We got to chop. Stay focused. If I'm going to mention Hardcore Holly, you going to talk about fucking reading his book? Come on now.
I might, but go ahead.
God damn it.
Push
all
the
right.
pace. Challenge me.
Don't you just start naming all your favorite wrestlers and see if you bite? But yeah, so the 6-woman tag team match, that was pretty sick. Liked it. Again, not like a great match by itself, but like for what it was, very, very solid, very cool. Went to some new places. Very enjoyable, especially if you grew up, like many people, jerking off to Lita and Trish Stratus. Next up, we have Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul.
I feel personally attacked. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
so did your wiener every night when Raw came on.
So I had a yellow highlighter and totally just scraped all over this matchup. You know how much I thought this was important for Seth's career and the outcome that needed to come game. Seth won. He needed to win. Yes, speaking of speaking. Yeah. Pause.
So
Seth and Logan were great. Go ahead. Seth needed to win this match because coming into it, he was the epitome of the loudest wrestler in the locker room, absolutely demanding the spotlight, but not getting it, wanting to be in center stage and wanting to be top guy. So he was going to make anything that was given to him work. And he was doing it so blatantly that like you could smell his desperation to be the winner of this one. And it showed, I mean, it was as good as it could have been athletically between these two guys. Truly impressive, and had a fun spot with, you know, uh, Logan's business partner being inside of the Prime bottle costume, the mascot that accompanied him down to the ring. And like he turned out to, take a big spot through a table, which was Logan's, cocky jumping off the turnbuckle dive with the camera.
It was pretty interesting to see KSI there, and I mean, this is just pretty good classic wrestling. I pretty much knew right as soon as he's coming out that I thought it was going to be like a big surprise legend wrestler. I thought it was going to be like a Roddy Piper in there or some kind of shit.
I thought it was going to be his brother.
Yeah, I mean that seemed a little obvious to me, right? Like that's definitely 100% on the table, but the Prime bottle's getting involved.
Yeah, I mean, why else is it down there, pumping fists?
Yeah, I thought for sure it was gonna be a legend. Like if it wasn't his brother, which seemed again just a smidge too obvious, I thought it was gonna be like an old legend wrestler, like a Jimmy Hart or something, like throwing spitting Prime in his face or splashing him in the face with the Prime bottle. But luckily, that's not what happened.
Yeah, you can't make Seth lose at WrestleMania to Logan Paul, and I'm glad everybody understood that. Logan looked graceful in defeat. He really is so good at this. Can't sing his praises enough for how quickly he's taken to being a top guy in there. And I'm just glad Seth won because Seth would have rioted otherwise. So I mean, it was everything you'd expect it to be in this one, as far as in-ring quality and, lots of move stealing and creative high spots. Just a great
Well,
match.
let's talk out of ring quality, because one of the most talked about things for both these guys, at least when it comes to Mania, is their entrances. And keeping on
Right.
that theme, Logan Paul got a very special nod that, I don't know. It seemed awkward to me. It seemed like the execution was just very weird.
It was a little wooden when we eventually
See
saw
him going up into the air. Like, all you had to do was have him appear above everyone, right? Like, the fact that it's like if you watched Cody from under the stage slowly rise up above the stage, it's not the same effect, right?
Right. I agree. They should have just entered the scene mid-scene.
Yeah, he should have just been flying in. I mean, that's what made it iconic for Shawn Michaels, is people looking up and going, "Oh my god." So that was just a little weird. It just speaks to, like, again, good idea, bad execution, which seems incredibly. It seems lazy. It's just lazy execution. It's like, well, this is the best we can do, and we already decided we want to do this. We couldn't possibly save it for next year, because what if Logan Paul, God forbid, decides to do something else with his life?
Really? Keep coming back, kid.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Logan Paul. Like, I don't need him in my life. He certainly does have a knack for it. He's got the athleticism. He's not just some theater kid doing backflips and shit out there. So, I'm not gonna trash him as a wrestler, but I also don't really like care. So,
That's fine. I can respect that. And the only
like
reason
him
why
getting him, I stand to reckon on the him getting a spot over another guy really sucks. But at the same time, I would say he's better than half the roster. So he's better than other people who are on the show. So it's not like he's really stealing a spot from people at that point.
well, there you go. That's about as much credit as you're going to get in your life from Sam Tate. Good for you,
Unless he
Logan
does
Paul.
a shooting star press off of a ladder through a table, then can't complain.
Okay. Well, we'll see if that's his
Nice.
next high spot.
Now you know my weakness. It's the shooting star press.
Oh, it is such a pretty maneuver. So taking us into our next match, if you're interested, because I'm sure we can agree that the right guy won and it needed to happen, and it's over. How about for that night one? We're really down to just a couple left, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was like, what kind of segue is this? There's only a tag team and a women's match.
But the women's match, though, I was trying to decide which one to go with. Was either my favorite match of the weekend or the main event of the evening. And that's so there you go. Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley was my favorite match of the weekend. I was really blown away by the quality of this one. And I wonder if you liked it too.
I did go back. I did watch it. It was solid. It was very solid. Though, as you said, the right guy won. And
Yeah.
the whole time watching it, though, I was just thinking to myself how much I would have rather have seen Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, and how much I would have rather seen Asuka beat the fuck out of Charlotte. So that's my negative Nancy kind of a take. But once I got over that while watching it, I thought it was a very good match, and it should have been the main event.
I think it was great business. Charlotte Flair obviously came back to take the title off Rousey and put on an absolute banger with Rhea Ripley and give Rhea the win that she needed, that she didn't get a couple years ago when they had the chance to. And they give each other everything. And there are so many fantastic near falls in this one that it's just hard not to stand up and give an ovation. I'm actually watching highlights of it right now. Thank God they exist. I've been so ready to see Rhea Ripley be on the top shelf, and she's really grown into her own. I think last time she was facing Charlotte, you could see how overmatched she was, but now she was really ready for this one. She had that big riptide kick out where you're like, that was about halfway through the match too, where you're like, oh, what else is she going to have to pull out to win, because she's going to win. So the top
Right.
rope, riptide, she has done it before. It wasn't new, but it was a good finish, especially after everything else they'd done. And I thought Charlotte was fantastic at putting her over, carrying herself like a star worthy of putting her over. I loved how she was smiling after Rhea won the title, like totally like, yep, proud of her own passing of that torch. I mean, she doesn't need to be there. She's not going to be seen for a while. Charlotte's a huge star, and it was a great moment. It was a great match.
Yeah, it was definitely a highlight. Definitely something you're afraid of them fucking up. But Charlotte already felt kind of like a part-timer, at least to me. So,
Yeah, she's there. She doesn't have anything else to prove,
Well, they did fucking accelerate her 16 fucking titles in less than 10 years, so.
I'm shocked how capably they were able to do that.
They
And
just speed ran her, just here, you get the belt until you feel like taking a vacation. And then as soon as you come back, you'll just fucking have one of them. Disgusting.
Ooh. If she was so, like, not heads and tails better than every other woman wrestler
No, I'm talking about Charlotte, not Rhea.
Okay, I understand. Then outside of Rhea and maybe Bianca and maybe Becky
and also Asuka
and
Bayley when Bayley's healthy, and also Io Sky when she's allowed to use tables.
I get why it's disgusting. You have so much amazing female talent, yet Charlotte Flair can walk in and take a title. You are absolutely right. I am offended. Now I want to see all those women we just named have a turn. It's so true. But it's Rhea's time now. We got two really, really iconic talents at the top of the women's division right now. Like, this is it.
The most important thing is this is the part where Judgment Day becomes Rhea's stable.
I think it already has been.
Yeah.
I haven't thought of it as Finn's at all.
It really hasn't been Finn's for a while, right? And then he just lost as the Demon. She's the only one with a title. The best storyline really coming out of the Judgment Day was their feud with Rey Mysterio for the most part, right? Which birthed LWO, which is the highlight of like the post WrestleMania. Like, that's the thing to look forward to. That's every chapter that ends has to give you a seed to read the next one, and that is LWO is the thing I'm most excited for, at least as far as the conclusion of those storylines. So this is the part where if they don't just go full bore with Judgment Day being like her faction, like, it's a fuck up for sure.
I mean, it's going to happen if it's not already happening in the minds of so many fans. I mean, she's the women's champion and the others don't have anything.
Yeah, the others are going to be fighting with Bad Bunny. Come on now.
There you go. I mean,
but another. Go ahead.
No, I think your timing to transition out of this one and into the main event
is
pretty apropos.
I think we're split on the main event. I hate to say it.
Well, you have to be. I enjoyed that tag team match quite a lot, and I know leading into WrestleMania, I was salty on the notion of Sami and Kevin winning, but what they did en route to winning was just one of the most drawn out and dramatic matches I've seen in a long time, and I just respect all of the athletes who did it. I respect what they created out of it. I can't think of it as a bad match personally, so you're gonna have to explain to me why we differ, because it was, I think, a quality main event, and I'm really happy for all four guys.
Same match. It's the same match. It's the same Usos match. Same Usos moves. They do fucking 20 super kicks a night between them. Same match.
Okay, that's fine.
You had none of what makes Kevin Owens great. You had none of what made Sami Zayn a main event picture guy. None of it was present. It's just the same fucking super kick into tag, super kick into jumping forearm into hope spot for the baby phase, cannonball spot, like just a bunch of running and striking and maybe a Samoan splash from the top.
Are you sure you like Kevin Owens?
I don't think I'm that high on Kevin Owens, no. Especially not for a while.
Okay. Explains plenty.
Like, I think the fact that he's verbal and stuff in the ring is really cool, but I think the last time I liked Kevin Owens, he was best friends with Chris Jericho.
Wow. Well, that's fair. I mean, that was some of his best work of his career.
You know, I mean, he's been
getting hit by a golf cart, please.
Ever since, I can guarantee you that ever since Kevin Owens has been doing the Stone Cold Stunner, I've been completely over him. It's not been entertaining. He's floundered. He gets to the main event against Roman Reigns, and like, there's just no. He just keeps ramming his head against the wall, and it's like, wow, we really have no one else. And his promo work is not very good. He's got nothing to do. He's just a dad who wrestles, bro.
I'm sorry you find him lame. I don't. He's great. He's a great wrestler. I put him in my top 5 right now.
He does sound like he always has food in his mouth. That doesn't help either.
And you think you don't? All right. And so that is basically the summary of night 1. We don't need to try to, combat each other into believing that the match was good or bad on either side. It was what it was. We're, of course, going to split the room. What did you guys think? How was the main event of WrestleMania Night 1? Did you think it deserved to be the main event? And
how many super kicks is too many? Are you an idiot who will sit there and watch super kicks for 17 seconds straight?
That was pretty lame. I respect that was a little repetitive. We have seen too many super kicks. It's nice to know a different team can be atop the tag team division for a minute, especially one comprised of some really awesome independent wrestling darlings who are finally getting...
It's too many teams with too many supers causing too many kicks. There's not enough slaps to go around.
Wow. You're a genius. I'm really impressed.
It's just too much, man. I see it. Every time I turn on a wrestling show, I fucking see it now. It's burnt out. I'm burnt out on super kicks. I'm burnt out on suicide dives. I'm burnt out on fucking... I'm burnt out on so much running, striking in wrestling, dude. Just do a collar and elbow lockup, call a fucking sequence, do a fucking headlock takedown that isn't in the first 30 seconds of a match.
Yeah, you have a wrestling match. I can understand how it's getting a little boring watching running strikes, or maybe even strikes in general, and those flying maneuvers be the backbone of so much offense. I can agree with you that there's less wrestling and less move variety truly happening, especially in WWE. So cool. I appreciate you calling that out. I would like some move sets to deepen as well. It's true, which is why I applaud Trish and Lita for coming back and doing different shit. Like,
exactly.
that's so cool. Yeah, that's what it's about. Come back and scratch something else on the what can I do list. To his credit, sadly, don't hate me, to his credit, that's something Cena actually tried to do.
Yeah, but he also did in the same way Kevin Owens did, which is just steal the most over wrestler's finish. Steal the guy who got over the hardest of all time, steal his finish and do it from the second rope, do a springboard version.
I need to go back and watch the Stone Cold podcast with Kevin as a guest, and because I hope that's addressed. I think there is.
I can tell you what happens in that, actually. I know what happens.
Yeah, I want to know how he got to get the stunner again.
Well, so I believe he either called him up and he asked him if he could do it, or he did it like outside of matches. But he did at some point call Stone Cold, and do you know what Stone Cold's response was?
Go ahead.
Just make sure you do it as a finish.
Yes, you have to
Don't
get
fucking do my move as a transition spot. If you do the move, they fucking don't kick out.
Yep.
You know? Protect the move. Like, so I'm a big fan of that. I mean, if you're gonna pass it on, that's about as good advice as you can give. Don't do my move as a fucking transition spot.
Right. Which is why Cena made it a springboard stunner.
Yeah.
Weird. What the fuck? Anyway,
So
night
let's
2.
yeah, we got
Yeah.
a lightning round day 2 here, which makes sense because there was, I feel like a lot of the garbage, a lot of the weird shit was in day 1. Night 2, I think, is a lot more straightforward.
Oh my god. I thought night 1 was the better show by at least 30%. So I know I'll be interested in getting through some of these kind of quickly. For example, Omos versus Brock Lesnar. What did we say going into this match? Because at this point we were together, and I said, you really think Omos is gonna win this match? And you said, what else are
What
they
did I
gonna
say?
do? You said, oh yeah, you don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember ever
you said,
talking about these guys.
You said, why else would we do this? Why else would this match happen? Why
Well,
else?
yeah,
Is this
what would be the point of booking Brock Lesnar to beat Omos again, right? He's already beat him before, right?
Again. Yeah. Like, boring. I was coming into this expecting it to be boring because there's no reason for us to believe Omos is going to beat Brock Lesnar, an established top guy. Now, it was very intriguing that there was more of a match to this than expected, and that Brock Lesnar actually looked winded and struggled to lift Omos and looked a little tired, and like that was rough for him, comparatively speaking to earlier times. Fine.
Oh, to sum it up real quick, it's as simple as almost can't wrestle, and it's not like he's new. It's not like he's bad. He's too old and he's too large. He can't do things realistically and like expect to be healthy. Like, and people around him, people in WWE, trainers, are not going to suggest to him that he do things that would put his body in danger. And it's just, when you're a bigger dude, you get to do less falling down. That's not just like the bias of Vince McMahon likes big guys. That is the reality of him doing a drop kick will cause more wear and tear on his body than Rey Mysterio doing one. Any bumping he does is going to have exponentially worse effects on his health than other people. And frankly, I just don't think that he can realistically wrestle an entertaining match and still be a healthy individual.
Thanks for the science. He does indeed suck. So cool. Moving on. Lesnar wins, hurts himself, and then immediately becomes the most hated man in the WWE the next night. So
so then what was the next match the triple threat for the IC title? I guess we're not really going in order, right?
No, that was a couple matches down, and I hate shotgunning that. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, Natalya and Shotzi, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, and Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. The Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Team match was next, and this was not as good as the previous night's tag team match, if I'm being honest. And it ended with Ronda Rousey simply breaking somebody. And
the finish was definitely worse, but I actually did watch parts of this match, and now that I've seen the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match while we're doing this podcast, I gotta say, from what I saw from the women's match, it was better.
Well, that's fine. I'm glad that you have a differing opinion from me on the opposite end for a change. I just didn't quite find it as fun for me, but I may have also not been able to pay attention to this one as closely.
You're also not allowed to look at Liv Morgan for more than 8 seconds at a time, or your girlfriend gets upset, so I understand.
Ooh, the reality's real, so sorry, babe. Yeah, poor Tiff.
I mean, a big part of what made it better was was definitely Liv Morgan, but yeah, the finish is really the biggest letdown, and I'm a finish guy, so I can't actually in good faith call it a better match when I didn't really devote the full time to watch both of them either way. And then the fucking ending for the women's match just killed any part of it that could have been exciting.
Right. I mean, I like if you got to have Ronda Rousey on the television screen, then thanks for putting her with Shayna Baszler. But I just
Can we just hire someone to do Ronda's makeup and Shayna's makeup for them? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a hater. I don't really like to comment. I don't really like to comment too much on like women's appearances and shit. Like, especially women who spend more time in the gym than I spend eating pizza rolls all year. So,
that's true. We should respect that they're still better athletes than we'll ever be if we work out.
But also, come on, dude. The makeup is just trash. Like, it is objectively horrifying.
I don't like looking at the makeup. No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also, can we agree that the double sharpshooter needs to stop being a thing?
Is that's the only reason people keep Natalya around?
I think she can hit two sharpshooters on two different people instead. Like,
that's what I'm surprised by. I think it's a balance issue. That's my best guess.
Yeah, that you can't do that with two sets of legs wrapped around each one.
Because I imagine at least the few times I've done a sharpshooter, and I'm no expert, but whenever I do a sharpshooter, if I put all my weight on the outside leg, then it doesn't seem to break the spine of the person I'm doing it to. But as soon as I lean to the other side and put weight on that side, it starts to hurt. So
probably the best thing you can expect to do is a double Indian deathlock, like Trips did to Chris Benoit.
I mean, indie guys will do the fucking double sharpshooter. They'll just actually hurt the guys. One of them's just going to get hurt for a little bit.
Good to do if they're already on their way out to surgery, right?
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, that match has nothing of value anyway. They're fucking throwaway matches.
I did like Liv Morgan making Raquel Rodriguez powerbomb her into the group of people outside the ring.
I thought that was cute. There was a lot of cute shit. It unfortunately reminded me a lot of like Divas matches ideas where you can tell like they sat in the back and they're like, oh my gosh, what can we do that would be like cool and like that's how you get the double sharpshooter spot every year. Is they sit back there and like, okay, what can we do? Let's make a list, but I don't even think they got 15 minutes. So
right, it was definitely a little bit less lengthy than the gentleman's match the night before, or maybe it was similar. That'd be fun to go back and compare. You know what the third match was from this card?
I don't know what the third match is, but I can tell you the one. I want to order this a little specifically because I think we should save the Hell in a Cell match for second to last. I think we're going to want to talk about it the most, but we'll see. Because the Triple Threat Intercontinental Championship match is another divisive one. I found it a total snooze fest. But that's because I don't really care for big meaty men slapping meat.
Which is a trademark of these kinds of matches.
It is literally the meat slapping. It is the slappiest match. They even set out a little fake graphic from their fake graphics guy at WWE to tell you how many times a guy got slapped.
But at the same time, the brutality is there. The physicality is there. The
fakest
violence.
Punches of all time are there.
I see these guys clubbing each other. What are you talking about?
The slaps are real. The clubs are fake.
Okay, Drew McIntyre struggles to throw a punch. Maybe that's true. But generally, these guys hit each other really hard. Like, generally. Anyway, I respected that part of this. I think it was a little bit too much Sheamus and Drew. Even though triple threats are okay, it's just, it felt like they got to do a lot of the real pummeling back and forth stuff, and Gunther did the most I'll be in the corner, which is both of us. We both dislike that style of triple threat match, so that was definitely this.
Can we Is it possible? I know it's not like necessary, but can we get Drew McIntyre a real sword?
I mean, that's how the counterpart we were watching the match with, our roommate who's trying to get back into it, said like
The dude puts a sword up against his neck and jaunts to the ring with his bottom lip out. Like, come on, dude, have some reverence.
Yeah, I think the sword can go. Period. It's proved its point, but he likes it. It's actually his. It's his choice to use it. So gosh.
I'm sure it's literally a family heirloom, but still, can we get a real one? Can we just sharpen it?
Yeah, go ahead and cut his neck open. Let's just get to it.
I mean, swords look cool when they're in the scabbard anyway. He looks like a dipshit with it slung. I don't know. Maybe I'm focusing on the wrong thing because this match was just same thing as the Usos match. It's the same match these fucking guys have every fucking time, and then they brought in Walter to drag him down to their level. And no, I'm not going to call him Gunther because this was a Walter match. This was a stinker.
Ooh, Chavo. I disagree. I thought it was quality. I thought there was good violence and beatdown, and it went on forever. That's always a nice asset to a match that's okay.
Yeah, but you could literally just type in Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre into the search bar to see this match anytime you want.
You're actually right. There's definitely that. One of their entire matches was carbon copied into the middle of this thing, and that is not a joke. And I respect that it took away from the match a little bit that could have been. And, I think some people are going to still respect this as one of the more physical and impactful triple threat matches in the modern era. And from certain perspectives, it could be. For me, it was a little bit off flavor from being one of my top tier matches, or at least the one that I hoped it would be. But it definitely looked like one. It definitely seemed like one, and it definitely beat up all three competitors like one.
It hits the three cardinal sins of today's wrestling. Maybe four, actually. I don't know how much of a cardinal sin this is. But it's got two guys with the same fucking finish. It's got a triple threat where one guy just doesn't fucking exist in the ring for most of it. It's a glorified singles match. Just book the fucking singles match. And then for the third sin, I guess I would say, is it's got a bunch of guys who call for their finish and wait forever for a guy to just stand up when, if you could do, like, come on, man, it's so easy. Like, the only person who ever really got away with that was Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it's because he flipped you off. If he didn't flip you off, if he waited forever and didn't flip you off before he did the stunner, I'm not here for it, Like, just fucking pick the guy up and drop him on his head. Goldberg got that right. Come on.
Yeah, just end the thing. Don't wait for him. That drives you nuts, huh?
Shawn Michaels didn't start tuning up the band regularly until much later in his career, and his career even got cut short, and he's Mr. WrestleMania, he's Mr. Flamboyant, and even when he does it, that shit kind of gets on my nerves.
Hey, understood. Fair enough. You've proved your point. You can.
The fourth sin, if you're curious, is they knee slap on their finishers.
Of course you have to go all for.
That was actually part of the original 3, but then I realized that 2 of these guys have the same fucking finish. And no, it's not a bicycle kick versus a big boot or whatever the fuck you want to say.
They do a lot of the same stuff, but they do it to each other really stiffly, and that is appealing at least a little bit. So I'll continue to sit here and say it was a quality experience watching it. But
you remember when we watched it, I was able to call basically every spot except for the double power bomb. So I'll give it a bonus star because the finish was perfect.
Yeah,
it's a shame. It's a shame of all the times I've said do exactly power bomb a motherfucker onto another motherfucker and then pin them, and even threw in an extra power bomb. Every single time I've said to do like exactly that. it has basically not happened, and then they fucking wasted on this shit show. So
You're right. I'm with you. I agree. It was a great finish. On top of not the tastiest or best it could have been kind of cake. Okay, next.
real quick, I do want to point out that the biggest Mark we know was upset that he gets upset about interference finishes, right? Basically, heel shit. I mean, we're talking about a Mark. And he was upset about this one because Walter didn't do anything. Because he sat on the outside, the cardinal sin of the triple threat, where he just didn't do anything the whole time and then came in for the win at the end. So if you include the whole final finish, it's still not like perfect, but my god, dude, just powerbomb a motherfucker onto another motherfucker just a little more often.
I agree that it was a smart move. You have called that finish for years, and it finally manifested. Plus the extra power bomb.
Yeah, I guess Roman did do it, so it's like, you know, it's still pretty rare, and I'm down to keep most things rare, but it was nice to see it not happen to two guys who actually deserve to be champion instead of the champ.
Yeah, I'm glad Gunther retained, for sure. And I think we all knew it was going to go there because Sheamus and Drew just like doing whatever that is to each other. Like that's their love language, is beating the piss out of each other.
Just slapping me.
Slapping the meat.
Next match was, or I guess again, we're not going chronological, but the next match to talk about then, if I want to save Hell in a Cell for second to last, is the women's championship match.
Right, and it is the right answer to go in that direction. I mean, we both were really excited for Asuka to be in this position. What were your thoughts? I want to know yours first. I've been talking a lot to open these tonight.
It didn't feel super special, which might be a mistake when it comes to WrestleMania. You maybe should just be looking for good quality instead of something unique or original from every match. You know, sometimes you're just looking for two people to go out there and kill it. And they got pretty close. They got pretty close to just absolutely killing it. The slow build to the end was a little bit rough, and there's a lot of just like tussling back and forth, which is a nice change of pace to other shit we saw. But man, the power bomb to the outside, that just takes the cake. It's a shame we just saw a power bomb in like every match in WrestleMania.
I actually think that was the highlight moment of the entire match as well. That was the most painful bump I have seen somebody give to someone in a really long time. For me, that was the toughest power bomb I've ever watched, and I'm really impressed by Asuka for taking that and giving that to Bianca. That moment was heinous. It really put over how powerful and how brutal Bianca's offense can naturally be, and it was a very generous decision by Asuka to take that. But man, did that look like it hurt.
Yeah, it's a shame because afterwards there was some controversy, I guess. I saw Asuka responded to a fan telling her to go back to Japan. And I'm kind of here for it, man. I'd kind of like to see. You imagine if Asuka goes somewhere else, she would have more creative control. And if she goes back to Japan, there may be less. I talk about it all the time. I still think her matches have this weird sloppiness to it where I think there is a little bit of communication breakdown, right? It just seems natural. It happens pretty much with every wrestler who doesn't have a full second language, you know, who's two non-native speakers. It happens all the time with AAA inter-promotion matches and stuff. So it's kind of sad to say, but I almost would prefer, very few people I would say this, but I would love to see Asuka go somewhere else.
You know, I think it is something that I thought of as well while we were watching this outcome, that Asuka's really been pushed away from the top of the card enough, and she's given some really great years to WWE, but maybe she deserves to be on her way to AEW where she can lead a totally different locker room, or go back to Japan and be part of that revolution, because
Because
now her
she's had plenty of title opportunities. She's had lots of title reigns, but it never felt like she's the top girl, right? It never feels like she's their choice. But at the same time, she's an amazing merch seller. You know, almost in like that Bray Wyatt kind of undeniable way. Like, you gotta feature her because she sells fucking masks. She had one of the best selling T-shirts for any wrestler for a hot minute, much less for a women's competitor. So I feel like that's a big part of it. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'd like to see more time developed. I guess more time given to telling a storyline, because like a lot of matches, a lot of the title belt pictures, it's just two wrestlers who are like, well, I want the title belt and I'm gonna wrestle you for it.
what would you want it to be instead in this case?
Well, I mean, I had to go back in time and build a story around Bianca and Asuka.
Yeah, what could have been more compelling to you? Maybe they really play up the rather supernatural characteristics of the character, and she becomes more malevolent and
So
haunts Bianca Belair, whose
to,
normal version of strength will be no match for her
to keep a long story
magical
short,
Asuka.
because I don't want to derail too much, I would pick one element that Bianca is the best at, right? She's the EST, the strongest, the smartest, toughest, whatever. I would have Asuka pick one of those ESTs and try to prove her wrong and build the match around that. Are you the quickest? Make a match around who's the quickest. You know, like, I can't, I'm not going to dream book a whole fucking thing right now, but I would have picked something like that and have Asuka just, you know, play the mental warfare game, keep doing things week in and week out that proves she's tougher, stronger, or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what you would make it specifically, but that is something you could apply to any rival of Bianca's and tell that story at least once.
That's true. It'd be interesting to see that actually play out as she proves, est by est, how est she is, how EST she is over
You
the
know,
women's
just
division.
stand over her every night going, I'm the smartest, after she outsmarts or something, you know. But that's really simple, basic booking. It's amazing how lazy they fucking are and just won't do any effort for booking, but I digress. We only got 2 matches left to talk about, and my goodness.
You're ready.
These were both very unexpected outcomes, I guess.
Yes. I also felt like Asuka's loss was unexpected for the record, only because I wanted to see her win. But I can see that.
That was not unexpected at all. They don't have anyone to transition the championship to. She's a purely transitional champ for them.
Ouch. But Bianca is sincerely a tremendous star, and the young ladies who danced for her to open that segment were really adorable, for the record. Now you can transition into the Hell in a Cell match. You open this one too, because you're going to have stronger emotions on it, and I'm curious what they are before I bounce off you.
Yeah, man, yeah, it's tough. That's really all it is. It's tough to find a spot for her, I guess. But let's move to the Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought we were going there now.
Yes. The Hell in a Cell. I don't know. I could talk about Asuka all night, but we got like 10 minutes. The Hell in a Cell match. I guess you got to give a lot of leeway to it. I can't really comment on it too much because after seeing the chasm in Finn Balor's head, You can imagine quite a few things might have changed throughout that match.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It was a bummer that the most brutal match type in WWE has to be interrupted by blood, but it really needed to be. Okay, yeah, we're a little ignorant if we think we didn't. Finn was absolutely gashed. That was what, a 7-inch gash is what I heard?
Yeah, it was not pretty, and I don't, like I said, there's not much I feel like I can really comment on about it because it probably got derailed. I don't want people to be unsafe, and they managed to not call the match off, but at the same time, like, having a match called off due to the blood loss, like just stopping the match in the Hell in a Cell is not good, but if Finn was actually hurt and they needed to stop the match, that would have been the right thing. So I don't want to can it too much, but I can say having that fake ass fucking platform in the Hell in a Cell is some dumbass bullshit that'll just rip you right out of a good match.
Yeah, we all went, wait, what the fuck is that doing there? I mean, it was perfectly positioned for Finn to have his coup de grace from the edge of the cell out into the middle of the ring and
Bro,
not even.
I thought he was gonna climb like to the top and hang down and just like drop on him like vertical, and then you see the platform just sticking out there and you're just like, oh, okay, and then he just does it and goes through the table, he rolls out of the way, and you're just like, well, I guess he just jumped from somewhere else. It's just not, it's not utilizing your environment when you just put a fucking random ass the least you could have done is put platforms equidistant on every side of the thing so it looks like it's a natural part of the fucking structure.
Agreed. Yep.
Like you could have had some guy be like, "Oh, he jumped off a maintenance platform." Like that's what they do in Star Wars, by the way. Everything's a maintenance. It's a maintenance exhaust, a maintenance terminal, a maintenance console, a maintenance port. They could have just been like, "Oh, that's one of our maintenance guys who welded and fixed the chain links or whatever." But that would require effort and not lazy booking. So
it's demoralizing that that was the design choice because, yep, no platforms anywhere else in that thing. That's a boo-boo just for the sake of our sanity and for the sake of story.
It's almost like they planned it ahead of time.
Exactly.
They're in on it together. Like, so I don't want to shit on a guy getting a fucking a new hairdo and probably suffering a concussion that they won't talk about. But the match I thought was solid ideas, solid places it went. You just, again, I feel like it definitely got cut short. It had bad space, like bad pacing and poorly timed out. A real disappointment considering the kind of quality stuff that we were having. But the fucking color-coded weapons thing is also corny as shit.
Okay, but it did create the pop of the night for us because we had said that the superstars could only utilize the weapon color associated with their faction.
You could only swing it. Yeah, you can only hit a guy with it if it had your color.
Right, and it was holding up for most of the match because the ones that weren't colored, we were like, what are they going to do with those? And they're going to throw them. And they were chairs at first, right? And
yeah, at one point he grabbed the wrong color and we're like, oh, he can't use it. He can only throw it at him.
Right, yeah, almost broke the meta there. And then he pulls out the ladder. It's like, well, it's not colored. He has to throw it. And sure enough, he does. And that creates the gash. Oh my God, the hilarious timing of it all is tragic.
Yeah,
sorry for your pain, Finn.
It was rough.
The match itself was rough enough for me too, because you know what, Edge lost me with when that happened. His improvisation choices were rough too, because all he did was pace back and forth and move shit around.
Same thing as The Miz when Shane went down. He just stared at him angrily from the corner and, dude, honestly, if I don't know, no fucking aspiring wrestler is going to ever listen to this, but play to the crowd. turn your back, look away, play to the crowd, so that way you can buy in a very normal wrestling way that you're not dealing with this fucking dude.
I felt like if it were I would have, pulled my hair and looked angry and like I was dying to get back out there and crush
And
him.
and sorry to cut you off, but it's really weird because Edge notices before the referee does, and you can pretty much see him say, "Check on Finn," before he goes to set a ladder up in the corner, and then the referee goes to check on him and then backs him up, and he's communicating between the two of them and shit. So it's a pretty brutal spot. Kudos to Finn for surviving it, but this was also a match that I'm finally glad this feud is just fucking over.
P.S. You want to be a wrestler, watch what happens to Finn, and then think about it again. I hope it seems like the feud is over. I think the Ron kid died. I think Finn, especially Demon Finn, needed to win this for the aura of the character, for the good of the club in a way, right?
Brood Edge should have been drinking his blood off the ground. I don't know, man.
Good
that was
point.
also we can't even get into that. The fucking entrance was awkward. Everything about this match was just awkward city, weird vibes.
It's true. I did not like his entrance at all either. I was waiting for the Ring of Fire to show off with the cool Brood music, and I don't know.
No Brood music. I pop for Brood music every time. I've used Brood music in my own artistic endeavors.
When you're literally using the faction name for nostalgia purposes, how do you not use the music? Like, did Gangrel fight them for ownership, or Jim Johnson? Maybe.
Yeah, and then he's got a weirdo, unrelated mask coming out looking like a Shockmaster skeleton. I don't know, bro. Let's wrap this up because I imagine you're gonna want to talk about the main event more than I do.
Well, no, I mean, this is the right call. I want to say thank you to the wrestling gods because I felt this going in that legitimately WWE would have been making a mistake to give Cody the title after what this build really amounted to be. Not because it wasn't quality when they had opportunities, but because it hasn't been a dramatic enough fight for Cody to justifiably have that meteoric payoff that the crowd is already craving. Like, let's maximize this. Let's take it one step further, maybe two steps further, and spit in everybody's face and let Roman win. So they did, and it's the right move. Like I said before, Cody needed to be humbled, and now he gets to do that, except first he has to fight Brock Lesnar, I guess, but that's beside the point in this conversation tremendously.
The main thing is nobody should be able to do it alone. Nobody should be able to beat the Bloodline by themselves. That is the whole point of the faction. The strength in numbers has been the story pretty much the whole time. They worked it in with Kevin Owens. There's just no world where Cody Rhodes by himself should be able to do it. He needs backup. Real coordinated backup.
I agree. I absolutely agree that nobody should be taking out the Bloodline by themselves. They are too solid of a unit. They've built too much history. The matches have mattered far too much. It's important for whoever takes him out to unite the locker room against him, I think, and have that be the big payoff of the story. Could still be Samoa Joe.
It would also, real quick, fit
Samoa
Cody's.
Joe, I meant Jey Uso. My bad, guys. Jey Uso or Solo Sikoa.
It would fit Cody's theme of wanting to bring up younger guys, newer guys too. Like, he could go back in there, rally the troops, and be like, "Look, a dipshit like this is gonna hold you down forever." That's the environment he's from. He's from the Shield. He's hired by a guy like Paul Heyman. He became a Heyman guy later, because that's the story, right? Heyman hired the Shield to protect CM Punk. Am I tripping?
Oh,
because they were protecting anyway. The point is, long-term storytelling aside, which God forbid they make that call back. It's the kind of thing where it could easily be a brand new semi-faction, whatever, where Cody has to find a bunch of guys to go, look, if you ever want to be champion, it's not going to be today, it's not going to be tomorrow, but if you ever want to be champion, you have to dethrone this dipshit and you have to help me. You know? And we managed to, and I think this is important. This is why fan feedback is super important. People managed to put it out there into the ethos of how much of a foregone conclusion it was. And I think that for the most part, it was a lot of people who were behind Cody. I think the people who were not wanting Cody to win were a strict minority overall. But you could see in the crowd, there's definitely some Roman Reigns stans. You know, there's definitely some people who were ecstatic when he won. And so I felt like it was a good swerve. Felt like it was the right swerve. I'm surprised they did it. But I didn't like how they did it, and I didn't like the match itself or anything like that. But, you know, the right outcome did happen, and hopefully now we can see Cody gain some character other than, I'm standing next to a guy you actually like.
Right. I'm with you completely. This is the right thing to have happen. Roman Reigns has built far too much. The bloodline has been built far too much. Thanks for making it happen, WWE. And now Vince is back, and I might as well boycott it. So, dark days are ahead.
Yeah, man, you ready to watch Jay White and AEW?
Yeah, man, I'm glad to catch it at my leisure, because I'm
It's
so
time to
tired
switch. WrestleMania season's over. There's no Royal Rumble. We're not beholden to arcane traditions of our youth. We can now watch whatever wrestling we want. You can watch 12 super kicks in a match by a tag team instead of just 8. And yep, they slap their knee every fucking time.
I love the dig to end the night. Why don't you bring it home?
Well, I want to bring it home by saying what we needed this whole time is exactly what happened on Raw the next night, where Cody got the ever-loving shit fucked out of him by Brock Lesnar. That was a very cathartic beatdown. I was a big fan of that.
Yeah, I don't blame you for finding it cathartic.
It's
I appreciate you.
It's a bit Russo swervy, but I mean, it's got all the elements there, right? The storytelling that Brock can't challenge for the title anyway was fucking awesome. Talk about a little bit of long term there. The fact that Brock Lesnar has ties to Heyman makes the swerve, makes the turnaround a bit more believable, gives you some things to think about. So I like what they're doing now. And it doesn't... So what would make more sense to me is Brock Lesnar helps... what would have made more sense to me might have been Brock Lesnar getting hired by the Bloodline and then him turning on the Bloodline, because when Roman Reigns stops being champion, Brock Lesnar gets a shot again. So I wouldn't be surprised if Brock turns on Roman's again later under the premise that he gets a title shot.
Okay, great. That sounds kind of Vincey. Does that sound like good television to you?
I mean, it sounds like a story to tell that has relevant beats from major events over the last 2 years. Or I guess 1 year. It gives a character motivation.
That's fine. I just wish it was somebody else. I'm so tired of the
Oh,
same
yeah, you
idiot
could just...
circling the top of the card.
Yeah, if you're just tired of Brock Lesnar, I mean, I've got bad news for you. Vince is back, so time to go watch AEW.
It's real. I mean, we were already at that point.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. Hopefully you guys liked a little bit of the super upload for WrestleMania and Supercard and Stand and Deliver. Check us out in the links below, right? We've got socials. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you like. Tell us if it's too long. Maybe we'll go to a 1 hour format. I don't know. Still not really putting it out there. So if you guys like it, share it with wrestling fans you might have, because I'm waiting till I have a good playlist that people can binge to start really promoting this and giving it its own shine. But for now, I'm Ace Maneuver Sam Tate. Raw is Warren Sprague has joined me. Is there anything you want to say to the people, Warren?
Hey, thanks everybody for listening. If you did, wrestling is art, and you can appreciate it however you wish. But hopefully you enjoy our recaps regardless, and we'll see you guys down the line.
Yep, we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Peace out, everybody.